What's up, everyone? It's Dustin, your Vegas-born realtor. Everybody is giving their predictions and where they see the 2026 real estate market going. Now, with me being here in Las Vegas, I wanted to give my prediction and where I believe the market is going this year. So there's a couple really big things to watch out for this year that could really affect rates, which would affect how many people are entering the market and the price of homes, how many homes are selling, days on market, everything like that. Now, the two big things to look out for is Freddie and Fannie Mac possibly buying more mortgage bonds. So there's rumors about them buying $200 billion in mortgage bonds. If they do, this could have an impact on rates, and especially for conventional loans. And number two, which is a really big one, is we are expected to get a new Federal Reserve chair this year. Now, depending on their policy and their stance on things, and inflation, everything like that, we could see more rate drops this year, and they could be significant enough that it is going to bring a lot of buyers into the market, especially because you have a lot of people who have been waiting these last 2-3 years. They didn't want a 7-8% interest rate, and so they've been holding off on buying a home. And now if rates, drop below 6%, a lot of those people, are going to get off the fence and start buying homes. And that's going to raise up competition in homes, which could have an effect on prices, but you're going to lose a lot of negotiating room as a buyer. Now, as a seller, this is great. It might not necessarily mean that you're going to be able to sell your home for more, but you could net a little bit more just because now you might get multiple offers on your home, or you're just getting better offers that are not asking for a credit or a price reduction. So going into the year, kind of quarter by quarter, quarter one, I'm expecting things to be a little bit slower. From coming out of the holidays and then going into the new year, the weather's also colder. We've seen a decrease in closings and buyers in the market. So last year, things really were busy. I would say October, November, we hit a new high for our median sales price, and then we saw a decline. We ended up closing the year with a median sales price around $470,000, down from around $485,000. We also saw less closings. And a lot of times this is due to the holidays. Not a lot of people are moving, so it's kind of expected. Well, then going into the new year, January can be a little bit slower as well. And then we start to see a pickup. So February is maybe going to be a little bit busier than March. So this first quarter right now, if you're a buyer, great time. This is the time that you want to buy a home. You have a lot more negotiating power, so you might be able to get a reduction on the sales price of the home, negotiate a credit that you can use towards buying the interest rate down, your closing costs, things like that. You have more room to negotiate any repairs that come up in the home inspection. So overall, it's just a great time to be in the market. Inventory is up right now. There's not a lot of competition. So as a buyer, definitely a great time to buy. Now, as a seller, you're really having to strategize on how you're going to list your home. So you want to make sure you have professional photos done, work on the type of marketing that's going to be done on your home. And the really big one that's most important is going to be the price of your home. Because right now, if you're overpriced, people probably aren't even looking at your home. They're skipping over it. And there's already not that many buyers out there looking right now. So if you're overpriced, it's really not helping. If you're priced competitively, you're still selling and you're not sitting on the market too long. Now, that doesn't mean, you could be priced well, great photos, and you're still sitting. It's just what the market's looking like right now, from what I'm seeing at least. Now, going into quarter two, I think we're going to see things really pick up. April, May is usually a busy time in the market, and I think this year is going to be no exception. It is going to be the busiest month of this year. So as a buyer, you're going to be competing. This is when a lot of buyers are entering the market. Going into that spring weather, people are getting ready to relocate, kids are getting out of school. So a lot of people are making moves during this time. So as a buyer, you might not be able to get, a price reduction on the sales price. You might not be able to get a credit from the seller. And you're losing that negotiating power. Now, you might be able to still negotiate, things here and there, but you're losing a little bit of that, especially when you're competing against another buyer on a home. Now, Q3, this is really going to depend on interest rates, in my opinion, especially here in Las Vegas. As we go into the summer, a lot of people are not wanting to, be outside when it's 100, 110 looking at homes. It's just not that enjoyable. And some homes, the sellers don't have the AC on if it's a vacant property. So you're going into this home and it's like an oven. So, showings tend to be down a little bit. But if we see some interest rate drops, then I think this summer could really be busy. It's really just going to depend on what the economy is doing, where interest rates are, if we're going to see a busy summer or if we're going to see a little bit of a slowdown. And now going into Q3, it's going to kind of depend on interest rates as well. If we had seen a drop in interest rates, then I think Q3 is going to be really busy. It's already a little bit busy, kind of August going into September, in my opinion. October, sometimes you see, a little bit of a dip, or it spikes up. So we're just going to see what happens, and it's going to depend on inventory, interest rates, what prices are doing, and what the overall economy is doing. If everything is strong, I think we're going to see a really strong Q3 and Q4 to end the year, as more and more buyers are jumping into the market, especially if we see multiple rate drops throughout the year. Now, if we don't see those rate drops like a lot of us are expecting or hoping for, then I think we're just going to see, a steady 2026. A lot more buyers still entering the market, more homes are being sold, but we're not going to see this huge spike in activity. So overall, if you are looking at buying or selling a home in 2026, expect a pretty good market. If you're a buyer, right now, best time for you. Throughout the rest of the year, you may not have as much negotiating room, so just kind of keep that in mind. And if you're a seller, this should be a pretty good year for you, especially if you don't have a lot of room to sell. Maybe you bought a home 2-3 years ago and you bought it right at like the peak prices, and so selling is not a doable option, or you're really cutting it close. I think this year is going to help with that. You might be able to get a little bit more, enough to be able to sell your home and move into something else. So that's what I expect, and we'll see what happens, because obviously none of us can really predict what is going to happen in the real estate market, especially with it being dependent on so many different things. But I'm hoping that we see a few of these things. It would really help, especially with where housing's gone the last couple of years. It's been tough for a lot of people. So seeing those lower interest rates drop, be able to see prices come up maybe 2-3% would help a lot of people who need to sell. But then those lower interest rates are going to help a lot of people who need to buy without going into a really high payment that they're barely able to afford, or some people can't really even afford. So look out for these things. And if you guys have any question on the Las Vegas real estate market, especially for this year coming up, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always here. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments, hear your thoughts on it, maybe your predictions as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one.